So hello everyone, it's the Cricket Connoisseur here and welcome to yet another 2020 IPL preview show. On today's show, I'm joined once more by cricket fanatic Parth Singh Rao, and in today's show we're going to be talking about the men from the capital, the Delhi Capitals. So first things first, Parth, thank you very much for coming on to the show today, mate. How excited are you to see this Delhi Capitals team in action in 2020?
Well, thank you so much, Harren, for having me on the show. I'm super excited about watching Delhi Capitals because they have such great Indian side because all those players have played for India in different formats. And with the combination of Ricky Ponting and the young captain Iyer, we have seen him in the past seasons already. And this team is something which is watch out for. I'm really excited to watch them roar.
Yeah, definitely. So am I. Yeah, it's a very interesting and young squad, and we've mentioned so much Indian talent. We'll talk about that obviously as the show progresses. But for everyone viewing this at home, just to go through that squad, as we mentioned, some incredible players in here. Starting with the captain Shreyas Iyer, Prithvi Shaw, Shikhar Dhawan, Ajinkya Rahane, Shimron Hetmeyer, Marcus Stoinis, Lalit Yadav, Daniel Sams, the Australian all-rounder from the Sydney Thunder, Rishabh Pant, Alex Carey, Amit Mishra, Sandeep Lamachane, Axar Patel, Ravi Ashwin, Kagiso Rabada, Avesh Khan, Harshal Patel, Ishant Sharma, Kemo Paul, and finally Mohit Sharma. So it's a very interesting team, and also Henrik Nortje from South Africa, the South African speedster. So looking at that squad part, what are your first thoughts?
Actually, that's really interesting, Scott, because they have done their homework this season. This side was actually from last two seasons, it showed a lot of potential. This side had the potential to beat any team on any given day. But they were slightly inexperienced because Rishabh Pant was not really experienced by then. Iyer was not really experienced as a captain. And Shikhar Dhawan, he just played one season with Delhi. So I think they ticked all the boxes in that way in terms of experience. Now, if you look at just at the experienced bowling lineup, you got Rabada, you got Ashwin, you got Akshar Patel, you got Amit Mishra, who's one of the most successful leg spinner of the tournament so far. So I think they have ticked those boxes in where they were lacking experience. And second, this is a very, very strong Indian core. So even if you take off those four overseas players, other than Rabada, nobody's absence will be missed so much in that team because they have got really strong Indian core. So this is very interesting because if one of those and overseas players fill in those gaps and provide those handy knocks, this team can deliver on big stages.
Yeah, 100%. And you've just mentioned such a strong Indian core. Let's start with that Indian core because that is an obvious strength of the Delhi Capitals this year. The likes of Iyer, Shaw, Dhawan, Rahane, Pant, Ashwin, Mishra, the list goes on and on and on. It's such a fantastic core of domestic players. And in a T20 franchise tournament, that is so vital. It's absolutely imperative to have these top quality, elite caliber players who are from India in your team. So what do you make of that Indian contingent part? Do you think that they'll win the Delhi Capitals a lot of matches in 2020?
For sure. I mean, if you look at the history of the tournament, if you see why Mumbai Indians is so successful with the likes of Hardik Pandya, Krunal, Bumrah, Rohit Sharma. So any team in the IPL which has good Indian core, they can deliver on big stages. For sure, the overseas players are going to win you a couple of matches here and there, but it's like 7 Indian players who are playing in that 11. So if those seven players will bring you that value, you can go a long way in this tournament. And this year, Delhi's actually looking that way. They had a brilliant transfer in Ashwin. They were lacking that experience. Amit Mishra, he's actually declining he's not in his peak, let's say. He's not in his peak right now. And with having Ashwin in the side, now Ishant Sharma, he showed him last year that he can bowl in T20s as well. And then Rabada. So having that strong, experienced bowling lineup, I think this will take them long in the tournament. So young talents in Avesh Khan, who's waiting in the bench. Certainly, good Indian prospects to look forward to.
Yeah, 100%. And you've just mentioned there as well, the likes of Mishra, Ashwin, they've got Lamachane as well, who they can use, Akshar Patel as well. They've got such a fantastic spin attack. How important are those spinners going to be in these spin favourable conditions in the UAE?
I think it's going to be a good headache for the team because because there are quite a few spinners in the team, and not all of them will be starting. So it will be a good challenge for the captain. But again, as we know, we don't know how the pitches are going to be. Abu Dhabi, as you mentioned in the other video, it's going to be very turning and very slow. And if you see Ashwin, Lamishane, Amit Mishra, or Akshar Patel in some games coming, giving those overs to you, actually slowing down the game in middle overs, that would be really, really interesting to watch. Another thing with Rabada or Ishant Sharma, you have Ashwin and Lamishane who can actually bowl in the power play as well.
Yes.
So it's not that you only have bowlers for the middle overs. Those bowlers can give you overs in the power play as well. So they have sorted their contingency in the spin department.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's an extremely strong spin attack. It really is. And as we've said, favourable conditions could be absolutely imperative for the Capitals in this year's tournament. But obviously, other than strengths, I do notice a couple of weaknesses in this Capitals side. Parth, in your opinion, what is the biggest weakness of this year's team?
See, I believe the weakness for this team is, as I mentioned in the Kings 11 Punjab video as well, that they have too many combinations for this team. It's not a new team. They have certainly new faces in this squad. They have new faces, so it will be really tough for the management what will be an ideal perfect 11 for this team, which was very difficult for me. And you'll see when we get along in the video, there will be interesting discussions for that. So, so there are a lot of combinations. Again, as I mentioned, there needs to be a clarity of thoughts given role to some players. Another thing which I thought will be a big challenge, which who plays at number 3, who takes that number 3 slot on a given day. Ajinkya Rahane, Hetmeyer, Iyer, or Stoinis. So there are quite a few possibilities. Ricky Ponting and Iyer needs to decide that how do we want to restructure this team? How do we want to see through the tournament? It could be Ajinkya Rahane giving that anchor role, or Stoinis coming at 80 for 1 and giving those extra knocks here and there. So again, it's also a headache of having a stable number 3. So it will be really interesting to watch in the first game that what number 3 they will be going for. But it will be interesting when we go ahead in the video.
Yeah. Definitely, and that's a really good point, because when you have all of that choice, when you're spoiled for choice, really, you've mentioned the likes of Rahane, Stoinis, Hetmeyer, they have so many options in that number 3 spot. They really need to decide early on and strike the balance in that number 3 spot and choose someone who's going to be there for the majority of the tournament. Really, they can't just go with Iyer one match, Rahane the next. They can't keep chopping and changing, even though in theory they easily could. But in terms of another weakness for me, it comes from their seam attack. Now, we all know how fantastic a bowler Kiso Rabada is. He's one of a true world-class level bowlers in, well, all 3 formats, really. And last year, he was the second leading wicket taker in the tournament, took 25 wickets, second only to Imran Tahir from CSK. So my issue there is if he gets injured, they could have a lot of problems with their seam attack, because they have Dan Sams. Dan Sams is a more than capable death over bowler, but who's going to partner him? Would you trust Ishant Sharma? Would you trust the likes of Avesh Khan or Harshal Patel at the death? And to be honest, I don't know whether I would personally. I don't think they're really suited to the roles as much as, let's say, Rabada and Sams are in that particular stage of the game. So I think that could be another problem. Obviously, it's theoretical. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Rabada doesn't have any issues and he's fit for the whole of the tournament. But I'm just thinking, if anything does happen, if he misses 2-3 games, they could really, really be lacking a spearhead in their seam attack in this tournament.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, that's what I mentioned in the beginning, that one overseas player will be really missed. So if anything were to happen to Rabada, it will be very difficult to fill in that slot. Of course, you have Ishant Sharma, Harshal Patel, and even Avesh Khan and Daniel Sams, as you mentioned. So they will be there to fill in that role, but impact of Rabada will be really missed if they do not manage his workload in an efficient manner. So I do not see him starting in the all 14 games, because not only in terms of workload management, and management have to be really, really considerate about what they actually give to Rabada in that manner.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Of course, that is a theoretical one. And of course, we're hoping that that doesn't actually come to fruition and he is fit for the whole tournament. But yeah, it's just a theoretical weakness. But moving on from strengths and weaknesses, okay, in every single segment of, well, every single show really, we have a segment where we zoom in on a player to watch. Now, Delhi have got quite a few really good young guns in their team. Who would you choose as the player to watch for the Delhi Capitals in the 2020 IPL part?
That's a good one, actually. I have chosen two names which will be quite unexpected because, and the only reason I chose those names that most of the Indian players have already proved their worth in the IPLs or respective side. So I'm going for Cameron Hetmeyer and Stoinis. They will be my players to watch out for. I'm not sure they will start in all the games, both of them, or neither one of them. But if, let's say, Delhi tells them, okay, Hetmeyer, we give you 5 games, go to number 3 and bat your way out, it will be really interesting to watch how he structures the team's score with Iyer and Rishabh Pant to follow. So Hetmeyer, he already had a good tour of India when he was playing spinners really well. And Dubai, we will be seeing that there will be a lot of teams using spin attack. And if Hetmeyer can provide that stability in number 3, along with his abilities to hit the balls whenever he wants as well, I think that would be an interesting prospect to watch. Marcus Stoinis, again, the reason I'm focusing on this name is a combination of Ricky Ponting, who's Aussie already, and I'd like to see how he handles Stoinis in that team. Knowing that what kind of character and player he's developing for Australia as well. Not to forget, Australia mentioned in their press conference that we'd like to see Marcus Stoinis evolving as a finisher like Dhoni. Of course, that's a gold standard you could follow.
Yeah,
it's a gold standard you could follow.
Not a bad standard.
That's a gold standard you could follow. But if Marcus Stoinis makes himself clear that I want to bat at number 6, I'll bat around with Rishabh Pant or Harshal Patel to come and gives you that 14 ball 30 runs or 12 ball 30 run knocks. I think that would be a really added value for this team, and that's what they're expecting from Stoinis. Give him a couple of overs and give the small cameos which they actually miss from those missing all these years. So these will be my 2 players to watch out for.
Yep, some great choices. And I like I suppose they're both ex-RCB from last season. Marcus Stoinis had a pretty good tournament, actually. I think he scored 211 runs in 10 innings, so had a very good average, had a couple of not outs as well, so a great choice. And as you said, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of evolves into that finishing role, which I imagine the Capitals will want to see from him in this tournament. In terms of my player to watch, I have kept it as an Indian player. I've gone Prithvi Shaw. Now, I know Prithvi Shaw he's developed a reputation, and rightfully so. He's a wonderfully gifted batsman. We saw exactly what he could do last year in parts. We saw the 99 against Kolkata at the Arun Jaitley, the one that ended in a super over. That was a fantastic game. And in addition to that, in the tournament itself, he scored 353 runs. He was the 4th leading run scorer for Delhi. But the problem for me last year was he averaged only 22. His strike rate was 133, which is not by any means bad. But by Prithvi Shaw's gold standards, I'd imagine it to be just slightly higher. And of course, 4th leading run scorer, I'd expect him to be top 3 minimum. So this season, I'm looking out for Prithvi Shaw to kind of take real emphasis on his role in this team. He has competition from the likes of Stoinis, who could open, from the likes of Ajinkya Rahane as well. He needs a big tournament, in my opinion. And if him and Dhawan, if those two can form that solid foundation for the Capitals in this tournament, they're going to go very far. They really are. They've got a fantastic team. And yeah, I imagine Prithvi Shaw will be one to keep an eye on as the tournament progresses, 100%.
I completely agree. That's an excellent choice because considering that you have Ajinkya Rahane and Shikhar Dhawan, 2 experienced openers who have more than 100 games of experience just in IPL. And then Prithvi Shaw is giving that first choice. He needs that big tournament, especially when Stoinis and Ajinkya Rahane are knocking the door for the opening slot as well. So he needs a big tournament, and yeah, certainly one of the players to watch from the Indian side.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, I can't wait. He has a lovely cut shot, doesn't he? Prithvi Shaw. Really nice. He's a fantastically elegant and free-flowing batsman. But moving on from individuals, now we go into arguably the most interesting segment of the preview show, and that is the predicted strongest 11. Now, Parth, I'm going to start with you because I'm interested to see your thoughts on this. What is your strongest 11?
be ready for a lot of disagreements because this team has a lot of different permutations and combinations which could follow. Again, if you, the subscribers and the viewers, if you find any of your ideal 11, you can put in the comments. It will
Yes.
not be the same as ours for sure, but but again, that's the beauty of this whole segment. You know, everybody can choose their own
Of
11s
course, yeah.
and see how the tournament evolves. Well, for me, I have put Shikhar Dhawan and Prithvi Shaw as my opening batsmen, two Indian opening batsmen. With clarity of thoughts, give them 7 games, 8 games non-stop. As you mentioned, how Prithvi Shaw comes and cement his position not only for Delhi, but showing that I belong in this opening slot and give Delhi a 500 or no, if not 500, a 400 plus season.
Yes.
So. And the good thing with this combination is I will not be surprised if they give consistent 50 runs power plays or 54 runs power play to Delhi, because these two both are explosive batsmen. They can hit any ball whenever they want to the boundary, and it doesn't matter if somebody's bowling 90 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour. They are really they believe in their abilities and knock the ball around the park. So really clear about Prithvi Shaw and Shikhar Dhawan in the opening. And number 3 is an interesting choice. I went for Shimron Hetmeyer as my number 3. For the first 5 or 4 games, give him the clarity, put him at number 3 as a left-handed batsman. And then Shreyash Iyer and Rishabh Pant to follow. Now, of course, the good thing about these 3, 4, 5 is Delhi, if they're 80 for 1 in first 12 overs, the 3, 4, 5, they have the ability. Again, this team has a lot of explosive batsmen we are talking about. So Rishabh Pant, we know what he's capable of. Shreyash Iyer, we know what he's capable of. He can provide that anchor role and hit the ball whenever he wants as well. So looks clear on that behalf. Shreyash Iyer comes at number 4 as the captain of the side. Rishabh Pant to follow as wicketkeeper at number 5. And then number 6, again, I went for Marcus Stoinis. He will be taking my second overseas slot after Hetmeyer. Give him that clarity. You will be our finisher for this season. Give him this role and see him evolving, that how he evolves during the season. Not to forget, he will be batting around Rishabh Pant or Iyer or Harshal Patel to follow. So again, it's not really a slot where team is really dependent on him. He can actually play around a few batsmen and evolve as a player in that position and bring value for Delhi in that position. So I'd like to see Marcus Stoinis at number 6. Give a 1 or 2 overs as well if somebody's having a bad day.
Yeah.
Not to forget. And then I had an interesting choice at number 7 for Akshar Patel or Amit Mishra. It will be very interesting to see if Amit Mishra is still the same bowler he was during the whole season, history of the tournament. If yes, then Amit Mishra, yes, for sure, starts as the only leggy in the team. Amit Mishra comes at number 7. Ashwin comes at number 8. Again, this is the bowling lineup. You can change according to the batting standards. So Ashwin comes at number 7. Amit Mishra comes as a leg spinner at number 8. And then my third overseas slot, Sandeep Lamishani. He had a wonderful CPL, and he walks into the side. A lot of learnings for him, along with Ashwin and Ricky Ponting, again, to see how he evolves with the champion side and such an elite tournament. So Sandeep Lamishani comes at number 9. Fourth overseas slot goes to Rabada. Again, his fitness and workload will be a concern, but we know what he's capable of. Champion bowler in this format, especially. So Rabada comes, and then I had to make a choice between Ishant Sharma, Harshal Patel, and Avesh Khan. I went for Harshal Patel in this one. I will not be surprised if Ishant Sharma comes in the tournament or even if he starts. But I personally went for Harshal Patel. Again, in the batting order, he can come up. So with Ashwin, Harshal Patel, then we are looking for a strong lower order as well if they need. But if you need lower order, it means you're not in a good position already. So I believe I went with Harshal Patel. But very interesting to see that they have so many options. So Ishant Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane. So they have, again, as I mentioned, how important is like for like replacement in this format of the game. So if anybody is having a bad tournament or, they have like perfect slots to fill in those gaps.
Definitely. I've gone slightly different, I'm going to be honest. So in terms of my openers, I have gone Shikhar Dhawan and Prithvi Shaw. At number 3, I've gone Shreyas Iyer. And at 4, I've gone Rishabh Pant. I've kept the top 4 the exact same as last season. So I think it's about 5 games to go. They kept those guys as the top 4. And obviously they went on to reach the playoffs and won the eliminator as well. Unfortunately lost to Chennai in the second playoff though. So I've chosen those guys as my top 4. At number 5, I've chosen Shimron Hetmeyer. You've said his ability to play spin. He's coming off the back of a very good CPL for the Guyana Amazon Warriors. And for me, looking back to last season again, their combination switch worked so well. For me, he's going to play the Colin Ingram role. So he can provide some maybe stability, as you said, but also has the ability to kick on towards the end of an innings. So that's why I've chosen Shimron at 5. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. And for any Delhi fans at home, please let me know what your thoughts on this is. Number 6, I've gone Akshar Patel, which might be a bit high, but I do have a lot of reasoning behind these choices. At number 7, I've gone Dan Sams, the Australian all-rounder, the leading wicket taker in the 2020 Big Bash with 30 wickets in 17 matches. But the fact is, he's not a typical Australian seamer. He will be absolutely perfect for these conditions. He's a master of the slower ball and the cutters and the Yorker. So for me, he's going to fill the role that Chris Morris played last year at the death. Okay, he's a brilliant death bowler. Him and Rabada, that's just spoiled my next choice, by the way. But my next choice is Keita Rabada. So those two in combination at the death, I think that will really work for the Capitals this year. So next, Rabada. Yeah, that's a pretty obvious choice. Their leading wicket taker last year. Then Ravi Ashwin, again, a very obvious choice. Plenty of experience, offers you a lot with both bat and ball. And then rounding off my 11, I have Sandeep Lamachane and Ishant Sharma. So it's a very interesting lineup, but the reason I've gone with that, there's just so much variety. You have Akshar Patel with the left arm spin, Dan Sams with the left arm angle, and as I said, the death over capabilities. Kagiso Rabada with the all-round package, Ashwin with the experience, Lamachane with the leg spin, and Ishant Sharma for the middle overs. So yeah, that's my 11. But if anyone, please, if you disagree, please do let us know in the comments. We're more than happy to go through your 11s as well. But what do you make of that part as a team?
I really like the fact you mentioned the diversity in the bowling lineup. So if let's say if they're defending a total of 160, 155, like Sunrisers have done in so many games. So I see them doing it successfully, even if they have 160 on the board and if they defend it. I see that this is the bowling lineup actually which will cause problems in opponents' dugout for sure. So with so many varieties, as you mentioned, as a left arm, as a leggy, or as a bowler who knocks around 145, Rabada. Really interesting to watch how this bowling lineup comes up together as a unit and deliver the value to the team.
Definitely. And yeah, let's just talk about that for a second then. In terms of maybe bench options then, who would you look for in your lineup part?
Yeah, again, as I mentioned, how important bench strength is in such a long tournament. We are looking at, for me, in my side, I'm looking at Ishant Sharma, Avesh Khan, a young prospect. I think he'll be a long-term prospect for Delhi in this bowling lineup. And then Nortje had such a wonderful season wherever he plays in the world. Again, he can replace anybody in the side if one of the overseas players is not having his dream season. For me, Sams is in the bench right now, but you mentioned that he was the leading Big Bash wicket taker in the Big Bash. So again, if he comes up, of course, even if you want to manage the workload of Rabada, or you want to make him start in the side. And then really interesting pick here, which Delhi have done this season, is Mohit Sharma. They have Mohit Sharma coming from Kings 11 Punjab. He was the member of Indian team World Cup in 2015, the 50-over World Cup which went to Australia. He had been declining in terms of his overall career, but still he's the bowler who can come and give those 4 valuable overs as an Indian pace bowler. He will give you constantly slower ones. He has the ability to take wickets, and that's a very good backup option we are looking for. And of course, that looks like a pretty interesting side to me already. And yeah, they're looking at pretty settled even in the bench strength, and considering the fact that Ricky Pontingville and Mohammad Kaf are in the support and leadership group.
Yeah, definitely. And both fantastic mentors for the young players as well. Those two, plenty of experience. And yeah, natural born leaders as well. So, with all of that in mind, we go on to again another thing that everyone likes, the pre-tournament predictions. Now, for those who don't know, Delhi did finish, well, I suppose third last year. They made the playoffs, didn't reach the final. But Part, I'll start with you. Where do you think the Capitals are going to finish in 2020?
I that was really difficult to pick because again, as I mentioned, most of the teams in this IPL, they are looking really settled and itching to go on the pitch and bring that value. But again, for this team, a lot depends on the form of the players, how they are performing, and how if they all can come together as a unit. If yes, I wouldn't be surprised they even go to the top two, or if they play finals. If they come together as a unit and find their rhythm and consistency. If not, I believe they will have a season of ups and downs with huge 7 wickets win to 80 runs defeat, and that's something I'll be really disappointed to see if Delhi comes to that position. I hope not, but if not, if they come together as a unit, we are looking at a good team which can finish in playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like this team. I really like the Capitals. I really do. I like them last season. They've kept the skeleton, I suppose, of the team. I mean, you look at the likes of Iyer, Shaw, Dhawan. I mean, it's just a fantastic team full of top quality Indian players. And for that reason, I'm going to be quite bold. I think they're going to finish fourth. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I really do. The fact is, we mentioned the leadership group. They've added to that with Ravi Ashwin. They've got some fantastic young players coming through. They've got the likes of Rabada. They've just got so much elite, world-class players in this team. I can't see them. On paper, this is. Obviously, in the tournament, things could change. But on paper, they look to me to be the third or fourth strongest team. So I'm going to put them fourth. I think they'll make the playoffs. And yeah, I think it might be quite a good season to be a Capitals fan, to be honest.
That is an ambitious choice, Aaron. I hope that he capitalize on the advantages they have.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, let us know your predictions as well in the comments below. We'd love to know your thoughts. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up today's show. Part, just before we end, do you have anything kind of to wrap up on? Any social media channels to promote, for example?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll be coming up with so much amazing content during the tournament. And please follow my channel. There's a link in the description. It's called Cricket Honestly. And please follow my mate Aaron here as well. He will be doing you good, consistent content throughout the whole cricketing season. And there are a lot of videos to come.
Yeah, 100%. And I obviously echo that. Please do go and check out Part's channel. He's a wonderful, wonderful cricket fan and a very, very intelligent guy when it comes to his cricket as well. But that pretty much wraps up today's preview show. As always, we hope that you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.